Politics Unplugged. I'm Ann Trujillo, and what a week in politics. The ads are off the air, the election's over, and there is so much to sort out, starting with the state's top job. When it came to Colorado's race for governor, the polls got it right. Democrat Jared Polis will be Colorado's next governor.
We all believe in our children's future. We all believe in protecting our amazing parks and open space. We all believe in saving people money on health care. And together, we're going to get back to work because we have work to do to turn a bold vision into reality.
Now, in his concession speech, the Republican candidate Walker Stapleton promised to keep fighting and serving the state of Colorado and stressed that all Coloradans need to come together. Now, Polis's win, part of a big blue wave at the state capitol. Democrats won the governor's office, as well as the Secretary of State's office, treasurer, and attorney general jobs. And as for Colorado's congressional delegation, 5 of Colorado's 7 seats, those held by Diana DeGette, Scott Tipton, Ken Buck, Doug Lamborn, and Ed Perlmutter remain unchanged. Democrat Joe Neguse will become Colorado's new congressman for the 2nd District, taking over the seat vacated by now Governor-elect Polis and becoming the first African-American to represent Colorado in Congress. And in the 6th Congressional District, a newcomer to politics won. Democrat Jason Crow unseated Republican Mike Kaufman, who's held that seat for a decade. So we're going to hear from both Congressman Kaufman and Congressman-elect Crow today. First, the president, who has taken credit for the seats Republicans gained in the Senate and dropped names for everyone in the GOP who didn't embrace him, including Congressman Kaufman.
You had some that decided to, let's stay away, let's stay away. They did very poorly. I'm not sure that I should be happy or sad, but I feel just fine about it. Mike Kaufman, too bad, Mike.
Well, we caught up with Mike Kaufman after the election, and yes, he heard the president's comments about him. And how did he respond? Well, he laughed.
I did. I specifically did not comment because that's what the president wants us to do. That's, you know, so there's a back and forth, and I wouldn't give him that.
Kaufman also pointed the finger of blame right back at the president.
The voters have clearly spoken, and I knew going in that I tried to make it a referendum on me and a referendum on what I've done within our community. The president had a different plan to make it a referendum on him and to nationalize all the races across the country. And so I think I knew going in that if I could make it a referendum on myself, if I could localize this race, I had a chance of winning. And I knew going in, given the nature of this district that is not pro-Trump, that in fact, if the president was able to make it a referendum on him and nationalize the race, which he was able to do, that I couldn't win.
Now, Kaufman says he is most proud that he was able to change the narrative that Republicans are anti-immigrant. He also says he is honored to have served the district that encompasses much of Aurora, where he grew up. So the man who's replacing him, Jason Crow, has some big plans for his time in Washington. Tony Kowaleski sat down with the congressman-elect to get his reaction to the win and find out what the future holds.
Wow, what a campaign, a lot of money, a lot of attack ads on both sides. Talk to me about the feeling when you realized you are now our congressman-elect.
Well, I certainly had to process it, Tony. I'm somebody who tends to focus very intensely on the immediate task on hand. So, you know, me and my team and family were focused very hard on getting through Tuesday and winning this seat and flipping this district. We did that. So the last couple of days, I've just had to go through, you know, the mindset change and realize that we accomplished that mission, and now we have another really important mission to bring new leadership to Washington and deliver on the change that we've been talking about the last 20 months.
How about playing Monday morning quarterback on a Sunday? Analyze why you think Colorado voters said it was you and not Congressman Kaufman.
Well, I think some of it has to do with our message. You know, our message really resonated. I was a first-time candidate. I had never run before, and I think voters are really looking for somebody outside of politics who could come in and bring that experience of building bridges, uniting the community. You know, they looked at candidates across the country that didn't necessarily fit into the normal political mold, but people who raised families, who built businesses, who served the country, and said, you know, these are the type of normal, regular folks that know what it's like to try to raise a family in this community. And these are the people we want to send to Washington to change that system. And I think the second part is just the way we ran our campaign. Very grassroots focused, over 300 community events. We were everywhere, talking to everybody. I was there in front of people in person, making the case.
A lot of money, one of the most expensive congressional seats and races in the country.
That's right.
What about the money? Was it too much? Should it cost this much? What's your take? You're going to be going back at it in 2 years.
Of course it's too much. I mean, our campaign finance system is deeply broken. It really is. I mean, you look at a race like mine, $24 million, all said and done. I mean, that money is terrible to be spent on things like that. With all the needs that we have in education and health care, the amount of money we spend on political campaigns is atrocious, and it has to end. And that's actually why I've made campaign finance reform a cornerstone of my campaign, and I'm going to make it a cornerstone of my service in Washington, because we're not going to get anything done on health care, immigration reform, education, and gun violence until we end the scourge of this dark money in politics, and I'm going to continue to take that on.
And a little controversy out of the White House in the hours after you claimed victory. President Trump coming out and saying if Mike Kaufman had aligned himself more with the president, he would have won. What's your take on that?
Well, we're no stranger to controversy coming out of the White House, unfortunately. Donald Trump says a lot of things. A lot of them aren't true, as we now know. I don't spend my time looking at Donald Trump's Twitter feed or getting consumed with, the slights that he makes against people. Listen, I said on Tuesday night, and I made it very clear to people that, Mike Kaufman is not my enemy. I have deep personal political differences with Mike Kaufman. I have deep policy differences with him, but he's served his country and community honorably. He works very hard. I recognize that on Tuesday night. I'll continue to recognize that. And Donald Trump is not somebody who I think recognizes public service and doesn't act with class, in my view.
Well, and to that point, Congressman Kaufman reacted to the Trump statement, saying it wasn't his record, but insinuating it was the president's record that ultimately decided this race.
Well, I was very clear on the campaign that it was both, right? I mean, Donald Trump is deeply troubling to me in a lot of ways. I'm going to continue to stand up to him. Voters in this community were very clear on Tuesday that they want somebody who can go to Washington and stand up to this administration and stand up for Colorado values. And that's exactly what we're going to do. At the same time, they want somebody who will work with others in D.C. to get done what needs to get done. Mike Kaufman was not that check on this administration. He had 2 years to prove that he would be that check. His voting record spoke volumes. I'm going to go to Washington. I'll work with folks when we need to work with them to get the things done in government and move this country forward when we have to do that. But I am not going to hesitate to stand up to this administration, to protect our values, and to protect the people of this community.
We've got about 20 seconds left. What will be your top priority when you land in Washington, D.C.? You talked about it a little bit, standing up to the president, but share with us a bit of your agenda.
We need to address gun violence, health care reform, immigration reform, education and climate change. Those all have to be priorities, but we're not going to get anything done on any of those until we restore trust between Congress and the American people, and we have comprehensive campaign finance reform, ethics reform, and increased transparency and accountability in Washington, D.C. We have to go to the root of the problem, and that is the way that business gets done in Washington, the influence of these lobbyists and corporate PACs. We've got to hit that issue first so that we can reinvigorate our democracy, and I'm going to continue to push for that.
And when we come back, we're talking about even bigger changes in Washington, so stick around.